Hey everybody, this is Jackie from Jack Gets Lost in a Book Hole, and I wanted to rant about something that just happened to me. I don't know, you guys might not even care, and I might be wasting my time making this video, but maybe you guys have had this happen to you. Okay, so I was at the Gibbons used bookstore in our town, just hanging out. I was reading. I got a gift for someone. And because I am an addict, and I fully admit that's the first step. That is the first step. And I bought a book for myself, and then I decided to sit down and read for a little bit. I read my book, The Hauntings of Williamsburg, Jamestown, and Yorktown in Virginia, which is a book I've had for a long time, and I never got around to it. And finally, I decided to get around to it this year. I started reading it back in last month because it's about, the hauntings of Virginia. So I decided to continue it because it's nonfiction. So, and I'm trying to read at least two nonfiction books. So I said after reading that, I decided to read this. This is my second reading of this series. I fell in love with the series the first time I read it, and I had given my copies to one of my best friends, my best friend Larissa. And now, of course, I moved away from Maryland, where we used, and now, if I wanted them back from her, she would have to mail them to me, and I want her to enjoy them as much as I do, and I don't want her to have to give them back to me if she doesn't want to. Because that's part of my problem is I wanted them back. So, because I just, like I said, I fell in love with the series. So finally I decided, first of all, I created a Facebook group for this series, and I finally read Stars Above. I just finished it last night, and I decided to buy the book, and buy at least as many, I wanted to buy all 4 books of the original series, but Winter is only in hardback, and I want to stick to paperback, so I have to wait until next January. But that's okay. I've read it already. I know it happens, so it won't be the worst thing in the world if I have to wait. But what really sucks is when I bought this, I started reading it after, and I noticed something about it. Let's find it. Let's find where it starts. Around chapter 6. It's the first 2 pages of chapter 6 are perfectly fine, but the bookmark is falling out. Don't want that. Although I haven't got very far in it, so it won't be that hard to find where I left off. So this part is fine, but then, damn it! I have to find. The good news is I didn't get very far in this, so it won't be hard to find where I left off. Let's see, I'm somewhere in chapter 2. Okay. That's the only problem. I like the magnetic bookmarks. Those are really great because they'll stay. While bookmarks like this, they won't stay if I lift. They won't stay in the pages. They're not very secure. So this is fine. But as I turn the page, I noticed there's an upside down page. And it doesn't even, it's not even, at first I thought, I turned upside down thinking, oh, it is still 62. But then, it's actually 92. See, if you turn it like this, it's page 92. And it is like that, and then the next chapter is chapter 10. And after, the next page is page 90. And you have Oh, is this 68? No, 89. This is 89, and it's chapter 9, and then it goes into book 2, and it's 84. And it just goes on like that. I mean, I meant to look through this. I need to look through this to see. Oh, there's page 70. That's page 70. Oh, and here's 68. So here's all the 60s. Yep, there's 61. So I am totally pissed about this. I spent my money, which I bought the first 3 books in paperback edition, so it's, and I'll have to check. The other 2 I have down there on my bottom shelf, so I'll have to look through those and make sure they're not like this too, because, and it's not even, it's like, and it's not BAM's fault, obviously. It's not Books A Million's fault. It's the stupid publishing company's fault. So then, and if I return this, I would want to tell the people at Books A Million, be like, don't sell this book. Don't sell this edition. Don't sell this copy of the book because it's messed up. And who wants to read a book where the pages are out of order and upside down? So I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should return it and just tell them to warn them, or should I just keep it? Because, like I said, no one's going to want to read a book like this. Especially if it's your first time reading it. I mean, maybe if it's like me, if it's your second time reading it, you might be able to put up and be okay with it. Because, I mean, the pages are still in there, it looks like. It's just they're out of order. But how could the publishing company let this happen? I don't know if it was laziness or, granted, to be fair, the publishing company probably publishes hundreds, thousands of books, so maybe they just don't bother checking. But it doesn't make me any less pissed off. Maybe a little more sympathetic and a tiny bit more understanding when I think about it. But it's still, I mean, has this ever happened to you guys? Have you ever bought a book and it's like not just little mistakes like missing a word or a smudge of the ink, but where the pages are out of order and upside down, like where the pages are literally messed up, or it's missing a page. I mean, it's one thing if, it's from an used bookstore, because you're bound to find, you're bound to possibly find a book like that. Although the used bookstore I go to, I haven't come across any problems yet. I mean, granted, I have not read all the books that I got from there, but they all look nice. But this, of course, I didn't notice until I got inside of it. So I might just keep it because the pages are still in there. They're just, out of order. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm making this video because, first of all, I'm really upset about this. And second of all, I'm wondering if I'm the only one who's ever had this occur to them. Have you ever had an encounter where a book where it's this big of a mess up in the copy of the book? So that's all I want to say. And by the way, like I said, one of the reasons I rebought it is because not only do I wanted my own copies back, because I love the series, but also I decided to do a reread of the book series. Because I was reading Stars Above, and I was thinking, oh, I want to reread this again. I want to come back to it. I miss it. I love that series. I miss those characters, and it's been so long. And, it was a long time. It has been a long time, since I bought, I've had Stars Above for a while, and it was a long time after I read the series before I finally got around to buying it, because I bought it, only a couple years ago. And I just rereading, I missed the characters. I mean, the only way I remember it is because, first I loved it, so I remember enough, I remember a little bit of it, and, other people have talked about it, and people both on BookTube and on Facebook, because I am one of those people who still participates on Facebook and has a Facebook group for reading books, and now, like I said earlier in the video, I have one for the Lunar Chronicles. And I just, one of the frustrating things is I always have trouble picturing, like, even though I give a very, even if there's a very good description, I always have trouble picturing characters. I mean, for someone who I think I have a fairly good imagination, and I love creating my own stories, when I read someone else's, and maybe that's just because it's my first time reading the book, so I don't pay attention to little details like that. But that's part of the reason why another one of the many reasons why I want to reread it. But also the fact that I just love this series, and I have been looking for a series that's like special to me, that has a special connection to me, that people talk to me about it, people ask me about it. Like, it's a series that I will constantly talk about. Which, I mean, part of that problem is because I'm not good at keeping up with writing like blogs and talking about things regularly and scheduling myself. But I'm definitely going to try and do that with this as I reread the series. I haven't got very far in it because, the messed up pages distracted me, and finally I decided to head home. But so far I've just gotten, first of all, let me just talk about Stars Above. Stars Above was really good, really great. I really enjoyed it. And it was very fun, and it was kind of nice to learn about what brought these characters to the positions that they're in this series, to get some backgrounds, because we did get hints and bits and pieces of the events that they talk about in Stars Above. But, when I was reading it, I wanted more. Like, it felt incomplete. Granted, they're short stories / novellas. I don't know what the difference between a short story and a novella is. Well, yeah, I do. I know the difference, actually. Novellas are longer. They're like half the amount of a regular novel. Maybe not even half. But and short stories are like short stories, they're not, I mean, you always read like short stories in English classes in, elementary, middle school, and high school all the time. In middle school too. But I mean, elementary school too sometimes. So I do kind of know the difference, but sometimes when I read like books like this, and the same thing with, well, not this one, and Stars Above, and the same thing with Assassin's Blade, I'm wondering, would you call those novellas, or are they actually short stories? Granted, the thing, they feel like short story length, but they have chapters. So I don't know. I mean, I guess they are technically novellas, but they feel like the length of a short story. So maybe a little bit longer. I don't know, but that's just how I feel. Anyway, so I gave it 4 out of 5 stars because, I mean, it wasn't like, for the reason I said, that it felt more like short stories, and I wanted more from the stories. But maybe that's because I'm so used to reading novels. Let's see. I love The Princess and the Garden. That was my favorite one. My second favorite one was the very last one, which is the wedding, but I'm not going to tell you any more of that if you have not read it. I don't want to spoil it because I have a bad problem with spoiling it, because when I ramble, I don't think about the fact that I might be spoiling the story. I like the little android. The little android story doesn't have anything to do with the characters. It's just a story about something that happens in this world. In the world of the Lunar Chronicles. But it was really cute. It was a cute little sweet little story. It was kind of sad. It was like bittersweet is a good way to put it. Like, it was a heartbreaking, it was kind of bitter at the ending, but then at the same time, still, I think the main character of the story still got a happy ending in a way. Not exactly the way she wanted it to go, but it was still happy. I thought it was very sweet. And like I said, it was very nice to get kind of more background on these characters and what was going on in their lives. And like I said, some of the stories were about the events that led up to the events that take place in this series. So, if it says short story inside, and I'm guessing the short story is one of the stories in Stars Above, so maybe they are short stories. But then, I mean, and actually the Stars Above stories didn't have chapters anyway. Like Assassin's Blade did. So maybe they are considered short stories, and maybe Assassin's Blade is considered novellas. because, like I said, it felt more like short stories than novellas, but I wasn't sure if they're novellas or short stories. So it was, and let's see, I liked, it was, and they were all sad though. The stories were kind of sad. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because they're not gonna end happy, 100% happy. Although Scarlet's story, I feel like it was kind of somewhat good. Not the worst ending in the world, but they were very sad and heartbreaking endings. But I shouldn't be surprised, really. I shouldn't be surprised by how they ended. And I'm not one of those people who always has to have a happy ending. I mean, in the major series, yes, I would kind of like to have happy ending for all the characters, but it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes the endings are just bittersweet. And I do not know why my dogs are barking. They must be barking at the neighbors. Maybe our neighbors, the Gowdies, or took their little puppy outside, or maybe something going on over on this side. I don't know, but I'm just trying to ignore it until, like, I hear a knock at the door or a doorbell ring. Then I might have to stop this video and refilm it. At least this part of the video. The first part, I'll, well, I might still, well, yeah, I guess it won't matter. I don't know how to fix that, so I can, so anyway, so that was, it was good, I thought it wasn't the best. I still, but it was still very fun and enjoyable reading, and to get some background on the characters and to learn what started them on their paths in the story. Like, I remember, and it's so weird because I remember in the beginning of the series, the character Jason, I didn't really like him. But then when we get to Winter's storyline, I really felt for his character and felt sorry for him, just like I felt sorry for Wolf or Z. I just felt so, I felt so bad for both those guys. But I mean, at first, I wasn't that crazy about Jason. I think that's how you say his name. Because it's not spelled like Jason, how we would spell Jason, but it looks like it could be Jason. So, I hope I haven't been pronouncing it wrong this whole time, which will be a first. Well, not a first. I probably mispronounced other names before, but I don't know which book tag it is, but one of the book tags, asks, I think the reader problems tag or reader, I can't even remember. I think I know what tag it's in this question. But it's a question about, have you ever mispronounced a character's name? And I couldn't think of any, but I'm sure I've done it. But if I get his name mispronounced, then that basically will be a first time that I'll actually recall mispronouncing a character name. But usually lately, the last year, I heard how to say Selena's name. And the same thing with Kale's name. And it seems to be the right way to say it. So I haven't, and I don't know if I ever mispronounced. When I first started reading Harry Potter, I might have mispronounced Hermione's name until I heard it on probably a reading of my audio of the book. And I was like, oh, that's how you pronounce it. But I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't want to say that I got it right because I would feel guilty if it turns out I didn't. But there's no way of me being able to go back to recall if I mispronounced her name. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's see, what else do I like about Stars Above? Or what are my other thoughts on Stars Above? I like The Wedding was my second favorite story, but there was a couple that I wanted it to be, the ones that got married, but it wasn't them. But it wasn't enough for me to be upset or anything, because I was still happy and pleased with the couple, because I wanted all of them to get married in the end. I want them all to live happily ever after and have those fairy tale-like endings, or as closest you can get to a fairy tale ending in this universe. Especially after all they've been through. So either way, I am very happy with how it turned out. There was a particular couple that I wanted to be the ones that got married. But that's okay. So I started reading this one, and before I discovered the mess up in this copy of the book, which I think I'm leaning towards just keeping it, because, I mean, like I said, the pages are still in here, they're just upside down. And I'm not going to give this to anyone, and I wouldn't want the bookspelling to give it to anyone either. I wouldn't want them to sell it to anyone. Because, I mean, I don't know if they could take it back to the publishing, mail it back to the publishing company and be like, look, this is messed up. You need to reprint this copy or throw it away or whatever. I don't know if they can do that. But I also want to get this book read. And I don't know if I'll be able to get it read within 30 or 90 days. But I know that's, for most stores, the policy is like between 30 and 90 days. You can, you know, if you want to, you can keep it until for you to return it. So I don't know if I'll be able to read it within that time frame, especially if I want to read some nonfiction books and stuff like that. The good news is, though, I will have a lot of time the next few days to read, because I'm off the next 2 days, and I'm off until next Thursday. It's not recording yet if I'm working Friday through Sunday, but I'm assuming I am because I'm off this weekend. I asked off this weekend because I don't have a ride to work, and I can't drive. So, sorry, I'm rambling, but I kind of wanted to make this video a little bit longer than what my little rant about this mistake. But because I do really like filming these videos, and I'm a person who loves talking to myself, so this is like perfect. I mean, I think this is why I'm good with this. Like, I'm not good with public speaking, but first of all, I'm not really speaking to you guys directly. You're not here in my presence. So it's easier for me to do this. And I just love talking to myself and pretending there's an audience there, and then I'm not a nervous wreck, which I'm not. But if there really was an audience, like if I could really see you guys, then yeah, I'd be freaking out and panicking, and tears would be flowing. So I didn't get very far. Like I said, I didn't get very far. I just got done with chapter 1, and now I'm on chapter 2. Kai and Cinder just met, and I love Ayoko. She is awesome. She's so funny and so cool, and like the other day, I was thinking about my dream cast for this. The problem with the characters that are the new Beijing characters is I don't know a lot of Asian actresses. I mean, I guess, I have a friend, my best friend Terry Johnson watches Korean dramas. So maybe she might be able to help. Maybe if I give her the details of what these characters look like, she might be able to help me come up with actors that she thinks could portray these characters. Yeah, I might do that so I can come up with a dream, so that I will give her a list of these characters and describe them to her. Maybe give her personality descriptions a little bit, because I don't know any Asian actresses, honestly. But I mean, I know of them. I've seen them, like Jamie Chung, for instance, and I like her, but I need more than one. Oh, and Ming Na, I know her, so I could use her in here. But I don't know a lot of the younger ones. And the problem with Cinder is I don't know if she actually is supposed to look Asian, because she's, okay, spoiler, just to warn you, stop watching this or put this on mute if you have not read the series. But, most people I'm sure have read the series, so you know that Sin is from Luna. She is the lost princess Celine. So, does she have Asian features? Is she supposed to be Asian? Because, I guess Chinese, technically, because is she supposed to be that way? Because, I mean, she's from Luna. I don't know what her biological mother's ethnicity was. I just know they're all from Luna. So, I don't know, I don't think she would have I don't know if she would actually have Asian features. I know other people did not realizing until towards the end of this, until later in the story. I think we find out at the end of this story, or I don't know. Oh, I just realized something. I did not tell you guys to not mute it when you cannot mute this. I feel really, dang it. Okay, well, oh well, I'm not gonna refilm it just because of that little mistake. I'll get better at this. I will get better and more efficient at this. I mean, I definitely feel more confident with this than with my actual job. But anyway, okay, so I got as far as them meeting, and Prince Kai shows up with his android Nancy, or Nassini, I don't know how to say her name. And then her approaching Cinder and asking her to fix her. Sorry. I'll look for that later. Asking to fix the android and everything, and that's as far as I got. Oh, and the woman who runs the booth next to Cinder, she was all like trying to take her kid away from where he was playing because he was playing in front of Cinder's booth, and she knew that Cinder was a part cyborg. And then it turns out that she had the Litmos disease, the plague. I don't know how to say that, so I'm just gonna call it the plague. And her little booth is being fumigated and she's being taken away. I mean, I feel bad for the little kid for losing his mother, but that woman was mean. She wasn't mean, but I didn't like how prejudiced she was against Cinder, because I don't get why. I think people would be afraid that cyborgs and androids would basically take over the world because they're smarter than regular humans. And so it's just like, even though Cinder's not technically a cyborg or even an android for that matter, she has the parts. So I guess it's like guilty by association kind of thing. And that's how prejudice works. I feel like that's how prejudice works. It's stupid, it's unfair and judgmental, but it's human nature. Sadly, I think. Maybe not. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now about that. So yeah, I haven't got very far before I noticed, because I actually figured it out when I was what I'm thinking about doing is making sure when I read, that I read at least, not that I have a problem with reading, but, I would love to read, I read every day, but there are people, I want to get past, I know it's not a competition, I should just enjoy reading, but it would be nice to read more than 7 books in a month. I would feel proud and feel accomplished if I could do more than 7 books. Like 10 books. That would be awesome. But I don't know if I've ever done that. But it's just, my only other problem is I'm not the type of person, I don't count the number of pages I read, and I'm the type of person who gets easily distracted. I want to watch TV, or I want to watch a movie, or I want to watch YouTube videos, or booktube videos, or hang out and do stuff on Facebook, or work on my writing, and even then my writing also gets neglected because of all the other stuff. And so I would like to try to keep a more mental note of how many pages I've read. So I was counting how many pages it would take to get through 100 pages at least, which I think I need more to worry about that when it comes to the bigger books, like the tome length books. So I wanted to count how many pages I had read, and then I went through to see how many pages I had read and see how many pages it would take to get to, 100 pages in this book. And it turns out that and then that's when I came across the mistakes of the pages. Like, the pages were put in wrong. And so it just got me really pissed off. So, like, I had a hard time focusing, and I was like, okay, I want to go back. I'm going to go back home because I'm annoyed. Plus, I was feeling a little guilty that once again I bought a book. I bought books so far the last couple days. I bought the 3 books in this series, Books A Million, while buying a gift for a friend. And then the last couple days, I've been going to the used bookstore because the prices are really great there. And partly, to be fair, I got a book for my dad, and I got a book for my mom as a gift. So, which I just realized, I hope they never watch these videos, because, of course, by the time they ever get around to discovering these videos, then which I don't think they ever will, unless I tell them, or if my sister happens to come across it. I mean, which, as long as they don't post on Facebook, so, well, anyway, I don't think I have to worry about that. Either way, I got them gifts, and then I ended up buying myself a book too, because I have a problem. I hate to say it, but my dad's right. I can't control myself when I go to a bookstore. I have to always buy a book, and that's not necessarily a good thing, because then I'm spending all my money. But I always tell my excuse is that, as I've said before, my excuse is that at least I'm not addicted to drugs or smoking or alcohol or like buying video games, because video games are expensive. You can't just buy, like with books, you just need to buy the one book unless it's a series. With video games, you have to buy the whole system, you have to buy a bunch of games, you have to buy a lot of stuff, and then, it becomes just as addicting as buying books. Playing these, deadly video games, and, you're sitting there clicking the controllers, and you're just sitting there messing with the controllers, which, although I do believe it probably does help with certain skills like coordination, and fine gross motor skills, stuff like that. I do believe it probably does help there, but you're still just sitting there. And a lot of parents feel like video games can mess with a kid. I don't think that's true. I think it depends on the child. But, and the parents' influence too. Not the influence of, we gotta take this away from you, but the influence of them reminding the kid. But I also think that the kids should at least read some books. Should take the time and actually read a book. Even a comic book, for crying out loud, would be kind of nice. Because it's still reading a book. I mean, I admit, before I didn't always count comic books, but then in one of my college English classes, we read the graphic novel Mouse. And I remember that was actually really good. It was sad, but it was really good. And, so after thinking about it, I realized, it's not like cheating, because it's still you're still reading a book. It's just thinner material, not as thick, and a lot of pictures. So it's still a book, just in a different format. And I think it's probably a lot easier to read for those who are not passionate about reading, who don't love reading, and who have a hard time with it because there's a learning disability, dyslexia, where it's hard for people to read. And I think there probably are other type of disabilities that make reading more difficult. But dyslexia is the big one I know, because I used to have a best friend who had dyslexia. And that makes reading not so fun. And reading should be a fun activity. You're escaping into a whole nother world. Even if it's a world that takes place right in this world, there's aspects of it that might be totally, out there. So, like I said, read a graphic novel. If you want to get your kids to read, read a graphic novel. Get them to read a graphic novel. It's an easy way of reading, and it's still reading. It just has the addition of pictures. And it's not like reading sentences, like this. It's, reading talk bubbles where people have the conversation part or their thoughts. So, okay, before this video gets too long, I'm done rambling, and let me know down in the comments if you've experienced coming across buying a book and then finding out the pages are messed up. Not just a smudge of ink or a missing word or missing letters in a word, but actual, where the pages are put in wrong. So let me know if you've come across that, or am I the only one who's ever experienced this? Thank you for listening to my rambling once again. Bye.